everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 6, Episode 14, DJI Mini Firmware Updates. But we also have very special guest, Captain Ray Kelly, the man of the hour. Ray, how are you tonight?
Good, Bill. Good. Thank you for the invite. Always good to see you.
It's always good to have you on, and we're gonna play some video and talk about the South Florida Drone Meetup and go over everything. And right off the top, I'm going to say I was very impressed as always. So we're going to get to that here in a minute. I just want to take a good shout out to everybody, and I'm real happy everybody had safe travels. That's a good thing. There was no drama on that. Let's see, Jay Bird's in the house. Let's see who else. USA Drone Flyer, Captain Joe America, John Olson, Leonard Oglesby. Art is watching. Art, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. I know you're probably over in the Philippines. Sergeant Rock, Drone Views Media. Richard, welcome. Good to see you. Akarasha. Who else do we have here? Going down through the Fly Guy Merrill. See who else is here. Johnny's on. Welcome, Johnny. And my friend Casey Crime Fighter. All right. Ray, it was just a tremendous time. And what I would like to do would be you put together a great video, caught a lot of the people that were there, and we're going to go ahead and watch a lot of that because I just was really well done. And
thank you.
Let's go ahead and watch that here.
I tried to get over to everybody.
Yeah, you did a real good job there.
That's my cousin right there. Just to let you know, Bill, he came all the way down from North Carolina. Are you going to play the music? It's iMovie music and my audio. I can't hear it. So I do a lot of talking in my videos. Or you rather me narrate? Well, okay. There's DeMarco, the one and only DeMarco and John Flynn. Okay. There's DeMarco, the one and only DeMarco and John Flynn. Yeah. Okay. Look at all the prizes, Bill.
Wow.
Look at all those raffle prizes.
That's
really
amazing.
We had to start it a half hour early, the raffle. There's Rob Kamada there. And that's one of the FPV drones that Ken Dono gave us to give away. And there's a surprise that happened, and I didn't even know he was going to give it to him. But there's Kelly Shores. He's got his Dr. Pepper. But it was good to see Kelly and Chris Waters. And there's Sean Hyde. He surprised us. I didn't know he was coming. There's Trucker Steve. And this is good old Al, South Florida Drone Flyers. And Al made the banner. I had said that in the video. He made up a professional banner and donated it. And I got to say thank you to Al.
Yeah, I saw that. That's awesome.
But he had a nice little setup at his table there.
That's great.
And I know my voiceover is different than what I'm saying now, but that's Harry and Chris, the Key Logo dude. So, and then we're coming over to Chris Campbell and his dad. He brought his dad, believe it or not, Bill. Yeah, it was good to see him. Came all the way from New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Wow.
Yeah, he was having a good time. He was flying today. He went down to my secret spot number 1 today, he said.
Oh, wow.
And here we go. This is the table of celebrities right here. Look at them all. Marcus and Ron, and there's Hot Rod from Daytona. And the one and only Stevie Bronx surprised us. He just showed up. He wasn't even on the list, and I was so glad to see Stevie.
That's awesome.
Yep. And there's a Chris Miller, if I remember right. His last name is Miller. I forget now, but I was so glad. He came with his wife and 3 children.
Wow.
Yeah. And There's Gary, number 13. But he wants to be number 6 for 2024, Bill.
Wow.
So he signed up and he's number 6 for next year. And there's Ken Nida and Susan, his lovely wife. And there's the one and only Tammy Jean. Yeah, it was good to see Tammy and Max. DJI Max. I call him DJI Max now. But anyway, there's Kevin Tolley and his wife Susan. And they had a very patriotic looking canopy.
Yeah,
there.
I like that.
And then I had to plug Tony Tropic, USA. He supplied the microphone generator setup that we
Oh, that's
used.
great.
And he even made it better this year. Yeah, he did. We had 2 mics going, and look at that keyboard, soundboard. And there's Lisa. Lisa, good to see her. She came with her son right there. I gave her, that was him in a straw hat. And there's Rick Williamson. And just to let you know, Rick Williamson won the Best Video Award, you know. Congratulations, Rick. And there's Audrey Dempsey.
Audrey.
Yeah, and she's quite the female drone pilot. I don't know if I should make a distinction, but yeah. And this is their friends, Ken and Monica. They brought friends, and they're drone pilots. And there's the one and only live stream king, Bill Ronayne. And he did a great job with the live stream. Yeah. There's Rob Kamada. And look who's there now, Johnny Droneflyer and Ken Herron. He was very impressed. And what he says here is it smells. He could smell it in the air. You know, I guess the water. And there's Michael Wright. And the one and only Jim Beauchart. He came all the way down from Canada. Yeah, and he's a new guy. I didn't really know him, but he's a retired New York City police officer. He's Part
Oh, wow,
107,
that's cool.
Yeah,
Very
he was
cool.
there. And now look at the setup he had.
That's great.
Yeah, and there's Lee DeBell. He's part of the South Florida Drone Flyers. And I tell you, it was just a fun day, Bill. It really was. Yeah. But it was so good to see. I was hoping Kelly would make the announcement when he's going to have spin up, but he didn't. It's not finalized yet, so we'll see what happens.
I talked to him last week about that, and let me try to get this screen off here. Yeah, when I had him on last week, we talked about that, and he said he wasn't ready yet. He's getting close.
Yeah,
he said probably going to be November, but he doesn't have a date yet. And he told me, he said, you know, it was talking. He and I talked off screen. He said there is so, you know, and this is an appreciation for you and all the work that you did. And I know Johnny and Matt, you know, and others, you know, put a whole lot of work into this, and people don't appreciate that. And you know, same thing Kelly said. You know, he's trying to line up a venue, and he's going to have, you know, have food to bring in and what to charge for tickets, and, you know, trying to find an optimal weekend, and just, you know, there's just a million things. But one thing he told me that he's going to do is, you know, it's not going to be an every year event because it's just so much and it takes so much. And, you know, and you know, what's great for you, Ray, is, you know, you're not working a full-time job because Kelly's working a full-time job.
Right,
you know, you have some more time to put into this. So, do you have any numbers of how many people actually showed up? Did you find out?
We had well over 125, you know, and
oh my gosh,
we had 126 on the actual list. There was some cancellations, you know. We had a big cancel next to your name, but again, it was just, and walk-ups, you know, you always get the walk-ups too that, you know, don't even bother to sign in. But it was we were blessed with good weather, great weather actually. Got a little breezy in the afternoon, but we had a great time. I think Everybody will say
You
that.
know, it's always, and you know, from living in Florida, it doesn't matter East Coast, West Coast. You know, that rain could pop up at any time, and you know, and it's just like. But you know what was good, and that's the good thing about the venue you picked. You know, there's all those shelters there, and
Right.
you're kind of under that viaduct from the bridge, and you know, it's kind of a sheltered area, which is really nice because you know well as I do, you know, it gets pretty stinking hot down, and even in April, I mean, I'm surprised it's gotten this warm already. I mean, you know, today it was over 90 here over in Tampa, and
It
you
was
know,
hot.
you could feel it. It's
Yeah.
getting warm. You know, Ray, again, you know, this is going to sound like everybody's going to say, you know, this is a Captain Ray appreciation hour.
No.
Well, it is.
No.
But it's not
Because
just Ray. Okay.
right, exactly. I got
Johnny
to say
working
thank you to the drone committee. They helped me so much.
So
Really.
who is on? Why don't you tell us who's on the drone committee? Because I know Johnny.
Well,
Who else?
Johnny is, and Maddie Cundiff, and
Right.
Bill Ronayne, and Brad Alston. There's 5
Okay.
of us, and we you know, there's a lot of work that's done behind the scenes, and we make some decisions. And one of the decisions, I think you heard about it, is we were going to charge for the raffle tickets this year. And on the night before the event, we had a little meeting, and I was outvoted. I got to give the rest of the guys the credit. They said we don't want to charge, and I was outvoted, and we did not charge. They were still free raffle tickets.
Well,
So,
you know, my hat is off to you guys for the tremendous amount of effort that it takes to do this, and you know, to not only you and Johnny and Matt and Brad and Bill, it was just phenomenal effort. It really is. Now, do we have anything in place for 2024?
yes, we got the date picked because this particular weekend that just passed is going to be Easter next year. So we're going to move it back a week, and it's going to be April 6th, 2024.
Okay.
Yes.
April 6th. Same.
Probably the same venue.
Okay.
We haven't finalized that yet. We want to make sure we get another great discount at the hotel. And, you know, I'm going to talk it over with the drone committee, and we'll come up with a decision by the end of the week as to the venue, the location. But that,
Okay.
Bill, you've been there. You know how great that venue is.
That was, you know, the hotel is the hotel. The proximity of the hotel to the location is, you couldn't beat that. That's just fantastic. And also, you know, to the I think, what's the name? Sticks. Was that the name of the
Sticks Billiard Club? And
the billiard
again,
club?
you got to give Bill the credit for that because he manages that club, because it's right next to the adjacent. It's attached to the Stewart Bowl, and he's the manager of both facilities. And Bill, I got to say thank you for getting that sponsorship. You know, he raffled off 2 $50 gift certificates on the meet and greet night. And Joe Fodolio won one of them, and Trucker Steve, I think, won the other one. But everybody was playing pool. This year, they even went in and started bowling. Kelly Shores and Michael Wright and a few others. Dennis Lovelady was in there bowling. They were bowling.
Wow.
So it was just great. I chose Ken Dono as my billiard partner, and we had a pretty tight game going, but we got beat.
Well, see, back in the day, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, okay? And not too many people know this, all right? Now, growing up, one of my, if you want to call it a gift, we got a family gift one year for Christmas, a very nice slate pool table down the basement, all right?
Okay.
In my reward while I was growing up, when I was a teenager, was, you know, if I got my chores done at night and my homework done, I'd go down and play pool for at least a couple of hours, or as long as I wanted to do. And Ray, I didn't get good. I got great. Okay.
Oh, really?
And,
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I had my own cue case. I had my own sticks. I went out, and it was just like, you know, would go out and play people, and I would clean people's clocks. I mean, it was bad for whoever was coming up against me. So a few years ago, I went out to play some pool. And now this is while I was dating after I got divorced. And one lady said, let's go shoot some pool. I'm sure. Why not? You know, I'm like, you know, it hasn't been that long. I can't forget that. Ray, she cleaned my clock at least 5 games. Oh my gosh. I was just like, I had my tail dragging after
Oh,
that.
that's funny.
It was
That's funny.
embarrassing. I even told Valerie that story. I'm just like, oh my gosh. It's just like, what? I'm going, what happened? Okay. I was just, just, I was in shell shock after that because I was so good as a teen. I mean, nobody could beat me. That was one of the things everybody I'd come up against, I would clean their clock. But oh well. Some things go away, and that was one thing that obviously went away was my pool skills because I haven't played for years. I mean, what? I don't have.
Well, the last time I played was last year at the meet and greet, and it was 20 years before that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things. You can take a week off or two from flying a drone. You're not going to lose anything. But you take time off from playing pool or shooting pool, you're gonna lose it. And boy, I didn't lost it. I left it somewhere. It was long gone. but no, just the whole thing. From the Friday night, the meet and greet, the setup, the place where it's at, having some nice pub food there, having a chance, shoot pool or bowl. And just, chew the fat with everybody, which is fantastic. And then Saturday, having a full lineup that day. Okay. From starting out early in the morning, having the raffles. Now, who spoke this year? Who did you have speak this year?
Well, everybody, we got positive feedback about the editing presentation, and people want to learn how to edit. So I asked Alex Escardo if he'd be interested in doing an editing presentation, and he did. He agreed, and he did an excellent job. And, he did it in a way where it was pretty easy to understand, and I know you know his work. He's just incredible the way he edits his videos and his photography, It's AMA aerials, he's a Part 107 pilot, and but speaking of Alex, he won the number 2 prize or number 3. What would you say is the number 2? Is it a DJI Mini 2 area bundle or an Autel Nano Plus premium bundle? What would you say is the better drone, Bill?
That's a hard
right?
choice.
It's a toss up, right?
It really is, yeah.
But he won the Autel, the Nano Plus.
That's fantastic. That's really, really good. And see, the thing is about this, it's just, a lot of these were donated by everyday people like us. A lot of what was given away was just, somebody gave a drone. I mean, that's just, wow. I mean, that's, that's saying a lot. And, the goodwill from this, Ray, reverberates throughout the whole community. Okay. Because people see this, they get excited. They want to, it prompts them to you probably are going to prompt some people, a lot of people, to go ahead and get their first drone. People will go out there and watch some of this or hear about this, or maybe people that live in the South Florida area, or even in Florida in general, and say, we had something like this in Florida. Wow, this was awesome. Maybe I ought to go check it out next year, kind of a thing. And I think that's great. And then they get to meet a lot of people. And see, that's the best part for me about going. Truth be told, I never picked up the sticks last year while we were there. Okay, because I was too busy socializing. And for me, except for work, I can fly anytime. There's never a choice with that. But and I got a comment about this. Okay, because I've been binge watching some of Ray's other videos. Okay. And I watched a couple of the gator videos because, as Ray well knows, right now here in Florida, it's mating season for the gators. But I also found something else out too. And I don't know if your buddy, the trapper buddy, told you this, but when we had the hurricane, it dumped a lot of salt water in a lot of the ponds that the gators are in. And gators don't like the salt water, so it's kind of driven them out of these ponds. So they've been, plus mating season, they've been that much more active. And now where we live, okay, we have like 10 ponds here, and a few gators have been sighted, but nothing major. Well, the other night, last week on Monday night, about 8:30, literally 5 houses down, sitting on the corner. There's a gator right there at 8:30 at night.
Oh,
And
really? Wow.
yeah, that's the first time that, because they've been around the ponds and you've seen them in the ponds, but you don't see them out and about in our community. That's the first time they were out. And there was the other night, Tampa police who, now see, we live in Hillsborough County, and the sheriff's department are trained to, help the trappers. They have the duct tape, they have the nooses, they do that. Now the Tampa police pretty aren't, but it was real interesting because they ran into a couple of guys who got trained by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department. And they went ahead and they pretty much did the work by the time the trapper got there. He said they did their job for me. All I had to do was take the gator. So I got to say this. If you guys want, Ray does fantastic with his drone videos, but you got to watch some of the other videos, like with the gators. And when he went out shark fishing, that
all about having fun, Bill. Fly for fun.
Ray, I'll tell you what, you make sure, one thing that I always get from watching your videos, you're having a great time. And that's what, that's what life's about. Life's too short not to enjoy yourself and have fun in a good way. Okay. We're always going to, and I'll parrot your favorite saying. It says, do drones, not drugs. Okay. And that's
a big
focus.
And that's one thing I got to say. A lot more children came this year to the meetup. There was one gentleman, Chris. He came with his wife and 3 children. There was other people that brought their sons. Lisa brought her son, even though he's an older son. And I love to see that. Drone flying can be a real family event, really.
Well, that's awesome. There's a few things that I want to go over tonight, and I definitely, having you here,
before we get off the topic,
sure thing.
Let me just give a shout out to Ken Dono, because Ken Dono was our #1 sponsor. He came through big time. He donated the top prize, which was an Autel Evo Pro V3 drone with a smart controller. That was amazing. And, a pilot who I invited on Thursday to come Saturday, number 126, the last guy to give me his number was assigned the number. He's the guy who won it.
Wow.
And that's what it's all about, is getting more people involved. And I got to say thank you to Ken Dono.
Well, Ken is, I think everybody knows what I think of Ken. I think the world of him. And, it's really, it's kind of not funny, but, Ken lives about 45, not quite an hour away from where I live, but I haven't seen him in a couple of years. I mean, it's just, he's so busy during the day and during the week. I mean, it's crazy. From one day to the next, you don't know if he's home, if he's flying somewhere, but he's doing great and his business is doing well. And, my hat is off to him because he's really taken the bull by the horns and he's done a great job. Ken, if you're watching, major kudos to you for taking this up and for what you're doing. You're really doing a fantastic job. Keep up the great work. And thank you again for all you did for contributing to the South Florida Drone Meetup. That was awesome.
Well, let me know when you make up your mind. You come, and I'll assign you your number on the list. The famous list.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like I probably spoke too soon, and and somebody said there's a project that you're going to have to work, Bill, and I'm like, oh no. We're not going to go there. Okay. There were a number of firmware updates to the DJI Mini series of drones, and I want to go over this. Now
I have to do them. I haven't had time to do them. I have to do them.
I know. Yeah, there's one for the Mini 3. Now I'm going to go through some of these articles here on Drone DJ. Let me find them because it's Mini 3 Pro. Okay, Mini 3. All right. Yeah, there was so much that went on. I said, I think we need to kind of talk about this here a little bit. All right. A DJI Mini 3 drone gets 48 megapixel mode with firmware update. DJI's released a new firmware package for the compact and ultralight Mini 3 drone, allowing the 4K flying camera to capture 48 megapixel raw photos as well. And it listed the firmware update. Now, 1.00.0200 with the RC-N1 remote controller can now be updated to 4.16.0300. Use the RC, the remote controller ministry. You want to update to 1.2.0600. And basically, all it is really, the ability to take a 48 megapixel photo with that. Okay. Now we're also going to go ahead and there's a couple more here. Now the DJI Mini 3 Pro drone had a firmware update, and basically what this is, let's go ahead. You can fine tune the aircraft and gimbal in different flight modes, cine, normal, and sport, adjusting parameters including the max horizontal speed, maximum ascent speed, maximum descent speed, maximum angular velocity, yaw smoothness, brake sensitivity, as well as the expo and its max control speed, tilt, and tilt smoothness. Okay. You can really fine tune these settings. And one of the things I want to do this weekend, and I didn't have a chance to get out there and test this yet with the Mini 3 Pro, is to be able to apply these settings, because, you really will be able to get some nice slow shots. If you want to do a slow pan around something, and slow your ascent and slow your descent, because I know the way it's set right now is like boom, and it's like it comes down fast too. And that's one of the first things I noticed when I got the Mini 3 Pro. But now you have, and then, your yawing ability, and being able to slow all this down, and going back and forth, it's really fine tuning, and it's giving you a lot of tools. And I expect, and this is just me, I think DJI will come out with something along the lines of, one of their nice packages where like a nice orbit package, to slow things down and maybe adjust the parameters so you can take a nice pan around something. So stay tuned. I think they're probably going to do something like that.
That's a great little drone. It really is.
It really is.
Mini 3 Pro is a great drone.
It really is. DJI releases new firmware updates for Mini 2, Mini 2 SE drones, which, let's see, Mini 3 Pro now offers additional gain and expo settings, which users can play around. It's the same update. The Mini 3 is gaining a new 48 megapixel mode. In the meantime, fresh features that have arrived for Mini 2, Mini 2 SE are the options to reset all settings and clear all data from the aircraft. Okay. So, that's still an important thing, because, one of the things when you go to fly your drone, and I tell this to a lot of the people who are flying for the first time, Ray, is, one of the things that you want to do, and Lauren was one of the persons who said you really need to do this, is, even though, let's say, you take your SD card out, unloaded everything, and you're still on there, is to get, when you put that SD card back in, reformat it before you go out and fly.
I had to do that.
Yeah. Yep. And he's done some golden things. There's been some things that he suggested that has really made a difference for me. And one of those things is, after a firmware update, the things I like to do, I like to recalibrate the controller, recalibrate the gimbal as well, and do those things.
It's recommended. Yeah, it's good to do that.
It makes a difference. And I don't, knock on wood, I haven't really had problems, and a lot of it is due to this following this routine. And it's kind of like, if you have to type up a sheet and hang it or put it on a sticky note on your computer, do it, because it's a great habit to get into. I don't know about you, Ray, but it's really paid off for me.
I still have my original checklist that I made. Yeah, and I got it right in my drone bag. Yeah.
See, that's golden. When you're following that all the time, it never leaves your side, and you're ready to go, and it makes a big difference. I can tell you that right now. I know for me, it makes all the difference in the world with that. One of the other things is DJI or FAA is having a drone safety day 2023. It's April 29th. Basically, I'm going to let you guys read this article. It's out on Build a Drone Reviewer, the Facebook group. So you guys can go ahead and take a look at this. Register your drone, interact with others, gain knowledge, have a safety plan, trust and train. And there's different safety days that they're talking about. Idaho Public Safety UAS Council, drone operators for hobby and hire. So definitely look through that. As they say, the old adage, safety is no accident, and that's exactly what it is here. If you follow the rules of the road and are safe, that's why. And I'll give a great example, okay? Because you guys put up, what was it, 18 or 19 drones at the same time?
18, yeah, we broke the record from 10 last year.
Yeah,
yep.
that
we were very careful. We were very
exactly
careful.
what I was going to say, because most of the guys that I know that were there, okay, they're not going to go hot. They're not going to go wild with something like this. They're going to get their drone up there and stay put, and and do it in an orderly fashion.
There were people that were shying away. You could see that they didn't want to try it, but then as the more and more drones went up, they got their confidence, and we talked everybody through it, and everybody was communicating. And it's funny, Bill, because Johnny Drone Flyer had his V-copter up. Him and I sort of started it. You know what I mean? But people thought that was a bird, that V-copter. But it was Johnny's V-copter. So,
well,
but kudos to everybody who participated in that.
Yeah, everybody did such a good job with that, and I really like that. And I got my first taste of something like that, and this is several years back. There's a place here in Tampa, call it the Tower, for lack of a better term, and I went to fly there with Ken. Actually, Ken and Billy were there. We had arranged a very small meetup. Had maybe 10, 15 people show up there, which was pretty nice. But that was my first time that I was ever flying with a large number of people, and I was real careful. But everybody else was careful too, and I felt more comfortable. Did I sweat bullets? Yeah, but you learn from something like that, and you learn to fly around other people. For example, when back in 2019, Ron and his wife Susan, we met them over here at Reddington Beach. It's just south of Clearwater, and Ron and I flew that night. And one of the things that we did was, we kept a good 20 feet altitude distance between us when we were flying. And I told Ron, I'm going to fly at X number of feet, and Ron said, I'll fly at X number of feet, and that worked out fine. There was never any problem with that. So that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. One of the things that I want to spend some time on tonight before, to kind of like the big thing, and usually it's a DJI kind of thing. There's a lot of Fimi news and updates, and I wanted to run through this tonight because, Fimi's not a drone to ignore. Okay. The Fimi X8 Pro has been out. The new controller is out. We're gonna get to that in a minute. But one of the things, the first thing that I wanted to get up here, let's see here.
I still have my Fimi Mini, believe it or not, Bill.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, that's the first thing.
I don't fly it much, but I have it. It's back in New York.
Okay. Now, Fimi's coming out with an X8 Mini V2, and you can win it. Now, there's an opportunity April 3rd to April 22nd. There's a coupon, and also you can to enter it. You can follow the store, post on social media, comment your favorite feature of the Fimi drone post below. Okay, so and you can take a look and see here. They're having a giveaway.
Now that's on Twitter, Bill. Where's that?
Yeah, that was on Twitter, and I'm gonna put this. I'll put this link on Bill the Drone Reviewer. You know what? I'm just gonna throw it out right now out in the chat so people can have this here. Let's go ahead and throw this out here so people can get this.
Good.
Now, I'm not sure if it's a drone or it looks like there's a bag there or something. I'm not 100% sure, but basically, this is really kind of announcing the fact that they're coming out with a new product, with a new with a new drone. And we all know, you know, a lot of people had a lot of frustrations with the first Mini. You know, I was one of the fortunate ones.
Me
The
too.
Mini that I got
No
actually
problem.
worked out of the box.
Right.
You know, I know poor Marcus, he had what, 2 or 3 of them before he got one that finally worked. And you know, who else is I'm trying to remember.
But I have to be honest, Bill, I've only got about 10 flights on it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Ray, I had it, and then, you know, after about a month, and I said, you know what, I sold it. It just was, you know, problematic, and I didn't want to have to, you know, and it required a lot of TLC before you would take it up, and I just got to the point, I'm just like, no, I'm done. So I went ahead and sold it. But anyway, you know, they're coming out with an X8 Mini V2. I sure hope, for Fimi's sake, that they're coming out with something that's much better than their first iteration of the Mini, because it was just bad news. It was just, you know, a lot of people can testify that it was, and a lot of people had to get, you know, new drones sent out to them from Fimi, because I think this was an instance where Fimi put this drone out before they should have. You know, pure and simple with that one. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about here is, okay, as you know, there's a list out there that the FAA has of drones that are remote ID compliant. And one of the big questions that I had, and I talked to my son-in-law this past weekend. You know, he recently bought a drone. He brought a Fimi X8 Pro 2022 V2, and he's really enjoyed it. But one of the things that he was curious about, and I was too, is Fimi's compliance with the FAA. And I found a link here, and I put this in this email chain, and this is to Fimi support. And I asked a question: when the Fimi X8 SE and Fimi X8 Pro going to be approved for U.S. remote ID? And she said the X8 SE22 version is with remote ID already. But then I come back to her. I said, Amy, that's not my question. My question is when the Fimi X8 series of drones will be approved for the United States of America remote ID. And then I put some articles here, and then U.S. Declaration of Compliance from FAA. And I said, checking the FAA's website shows that Fimi is not on this list. When will the Fimi X8 series of drones be remote ID compliant? I have a number of emails from followers on my YouTube channel asking me this question. They state they will not make a decision about purchasing a Fimi drone unless it's on this list. And then I got a reply back from her. Hi, we're consulting with relevant certificate solution about FAA's remote ID request. It may take 3 to 6 months to get the approval. Best regards. Well, you know, as you well know, Ray, September is rolling around the bend.
Yeah,
okay?
be here before you know it.
Yeah, and that's going to be, you know, 3 to 6 months. If it takes them 6, that'll put them into October. And, you know, are you going to, if you have a Fimi, are you going to be dependent on an outside solution, or are you going to have to wait, or what? And I think they kind of need to be pressed on this, Ray, because, you know,
of course,
you know, you go and you look on the list, and what's real interesting, you know, there are a number of DJI drones that are on that list. It's real interesting. The original Mavic Pro is not on this list, but the Mavic Pro Platinum is on the list. I can't figure that out. What the difference is, because I have the original Mavic Pro, and you know there are quite a few DJI drones on there. There's only one Autel drone that I could find on there right now. There were no Fimis on there, which was real interesting. And you know, I didn't really, you know, dive in too deep, but you know, one of the things that concerns me is, you know, people are going to go out and buy some of these Fimi drones, but they're not, you know, they say they have remote ID.
They're not going to get a module. They won't get a module.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And, you know, where's, you know, the FAA can't really do anything, you know, and that's, I think that's frustrating for us. And for me, before I make a decision to go out and buy another Fimi, you know, that's kind of like, I need to know this, you know, because I talked to my son-in-law this weekend, and I asked him, I said, you know, what do you think of the new X8 Pro? And he says he really likes it. He really likes the new controller, but he's not going to pull any trigger on either one of those until it's remote ID compliant. Yeah. And I told him, I said, I'm in 100% agreement with you, because, you know, you gotta have this on there, Ray. You can't. This is not one of these drones you really can do an after the fact kind of a thing on. So this is something that I think people are going to need to stay tuned to. Now, the other thing was, I did find out.
Bill Grace has a pretty good question now. Will they be allowed to fly these drones?
Yeah.
Without it? Yeah.
Yeah. That is a very good question, and you know, it really begs a lot of needing to get that answered, because I know. Yeah, Richard. Yeah, it is. And, you know, that's one of the things that I think, drones will fly with RD. Yeah. And Bill, you're right. I agree. But, you know, one of the things that I wanted to bring up during this segment also too is, you know, there's been a lot of talk about DJI and, you know, their compliance and some of the older drones, because there's a lot of Phantom 4 owners out there, and they haven't said anything about the Phantom 4. And that's, you know, that a lot of them are, you go out and you look on the forums, there's a lot of people are very anxious about this. And, you know, while there are modules out there that supposedly are going to work with this, and I know Ken Heron did a great video on that. I don't know if you saw that, Ray.
No, I didn't.
I think he did a couple of them, but on attaching one of those remote modules to it, and it works, but you got to have a smartphone with it in addition to whatever you're using, you know, tablet wise, you know, to be able to follow it. But it does work, you know, and this begs the question, you know, people are going to have to spend additional money for their drones for this. And, you know, I'll harken back to, and I think, you know, we talked a little bit about this. You know, my other hobby is ham radio, and you know, and I've talked about this on my ham radio channel, believe it or not, as well. One of the guests that I had on last week, I said, you know, the FAA and the FCC, you know, they're like two completely different entities, because the FAA seems very disorganized to me, Ray. You know, the FCC, however, they really kind of seemed like they had their act together in a lot of instances. You know,
is that right? I mean? You see a big difference?
Yeah, I do. You know, what was this whole thing with? Now I know Ron and Marcus had a great guest on, Greg from the Pilot Institute, Drone Pilot Institute. I think it was. Sure. And then they had another gentleman on that night. Really talked about the whole thing about remote ID, the community-based organizations, and that's an excellent discussion. And you know,
Greg really explained it well. He did
Greg
when
did
he was
great
on.
Job on that. And you know, and one of the things that I kind of got from him, you know, really kind of like, you know, it's kind of like pulling teeth to get this information from the FAA. They're really not forthcoming with a lot of information, and you know, it reminds me of, you know, 15 people trying to work on the same project. And, you know, they're all going about it in a different manner. And that's what it seems like at the FAA. You know, it seems very disorganized to me. That's a good point.
We'll see what happens. That's for sure. Because like you said, September will be here very shortly.
Yeah. And, you know, that's, I think for us, you know, especially, you know, there was talk that, you know, with all the embargo and everything going on with DJI, and, you know, more things being brought up in Congress, that there's a lot of angst with, obviously, with China and the United States, but now, you know, with DJI in the United States. And, you know, I saw in several forums, you know, well, DJI could just pull the plug on the United States and leave us all high and dry. And, you know,
I don't think that'll happen.
I don't think that'll happen either. You know, there were some people that were talking about that, but, you know, I think it's always good. And one of the things that I really like is, for me, you know, I started out with an Autel, with an Autel X-Star Premium, and then I went to DJI, and I've had a Hubsan before. I've had a couple of Fimis as well, and is to kind of get a taste for everything, and I've flown a Parrot, an Oppie. I've had some experience with it, so it's not like I haven't really had a lot of experience, and I think it really kind of lends itself, Ray, when you expand your horizons like this.
No. Well, again, I'll be the first to admit it. I'm a DJI fanboy, and I love my DJI drones. And when I was flying the Fimi Mini, I just didn't have that same confidence that I have in DJI drones. And I really think the government is wrong on this,
Oh, I do too.
I'm sure, there's a lot of information that we're not privy to, and maybe that's a good reason why they put them on the list. But DJI drones are great drones.
Yeah, they are. And there's something to be said for getting a drone, basically charging up the batteries, downloading the firmware updates or whatever, and then pretty much you're ready to go. All right. With other drones, it's a process, and it's a laborious one. There's a lot of these, what I'll call the $100, $200, $300 drones from Amazon that people get. And it's a laborious process to get those up in the air. I know, because I've had them sent to me and I've done reviews on them. And, a lot of times, for example, one of the ones that I just had to review, it flew well, but it was 500 yards out, Ray, it lost the signal. And it didn't matter what direction I was going in. It lost the signal, and it returned to home. It did what it was supposed to do. But, that's the thing.
Thank God it came back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing that you get. And that's what I try to tell, because I get a lot of emails every day from people asking me, what kind of drone should I buy? And my first thing is, are you going to use it as a hobbyist, or are you going to use it, do you want to do something professional with it? Or, is it, I want to get one for my 15 or 16-year-old son or daughter, and, that kind of thing. I ask them several leading questions to kind of gear them to what they want to do, because almost all the time, I saw this drone out on Amazon and it was $300. And, what I say right there, I really kind of stop people. And I said, look, you know what? Start out with a DJI Mini SE. All right. It will have all the basics. Go ahead.
You brought up the Mini SE, and I gotta say, Michael Wright flew the DJI Mini SE right from the fishing boat yesterday.
Wow.
And I was so impressed with that. We're fishing, and all of a sudden you see a drone up there. And I had a feeling it was Michael, and I never thought it was going to be the Mini SE. It was out there, so I couldn't identify it. But when I went up to speak to him and to film him on his landing, it was the Mini SE, and I was so impressed with that drone, really. And he bought it as a refurbished model for, I think, $197.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. See, and those are the kind of things that I try to steer people towards is, when you get something that has quality behind it, like DJI does, and yeah, we're all DJI fanboys. I'm a drone fanboy. Okay. I like Autel. I think they put out some good products. I think they can work on they have a lot to work on, but I think they do a decent job. Skydio puts out a good product for what it's worth. Okay. Understanding that it's really kind of like a follow me type of drone, and not really a drone that you really sit with the sticks and fly, and then there's, Fimi, and, granted, like the Fimi X8 series of drones.
And look at Richard's comment, his last comment there about buying 11 toy drone. You're right, Richard.
Yeah. I agree, Richard. Sometimes people, it takes a while to do that, and you go through a lot of money, unfortunately, to do that as well too. And a lot of these people, what's interesting, Ray, is a lot of people, I get a lot of these requests around Christmas time. What do you think of this and this? see Fly Faith and this Potenzic, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm just like, and I try, and I really, I'm very kind in my replies back to people, and and I tell them, if you spend another $200 more, you'll get a drone that will work, that will last, and you'll get some good results from. I mean, that's basically what it is.
Well, there's a lot of guys that you and I both know, Johnny being one of them. He has bought a couple of Autel drones now. He's got the Nano Plus, and he loves it. Now he's got the Autel Lite, and he loves that drone. Actually, he let me fly it at the hotel, and I was very impressed with that Autel Lite too. Really.
Yeah, the Autel's really come a long way. My concern for them is their cash flow and their customer service and firmware updates. Because for me, when I had the X-Star Premium, that was a good drone. Physically, it was a good drone. Their big they had two problems with that drone. The batteries, they just had a bad batch of batteries in it. They replaced batteries several times for me for free. And the other one was the firmware updates. They were horrible in getting them out. And I think as long as their customer service gets better, I think they're on track. And as long as they listen to their customers, I think they'll do better. It's kind of like that's what I see with Autel right now. Yep. KC Crime Fighter, I agree. 100%. 100%. Yeah, it's you get the old saying, my dad always said, you get what you pay for, kind of a thing. And he was so right. And you're right in this instance here, in looking at DJI drones. Now, one of the things I will say about Fimi is, they've gotten better. They've learned from their mistakes, and I'm hoping that, once they get remote ID compliance here, that it will be a lot better for all of us. And it will be a drone that I would, that's what I'm waiting for before I pull the trigger on something like that, is for them to get remote ID compliant. Once they get remote ID compliant, then I'm definitely going to get it. And I'm kind of excited because I think they had a good concept with their controller, the TX10. They've come out with a new one, the TX10A. So, I'm kind of and I'm also waiting for, to see some other reviews from some people that have purchased them. I know Richard's probably anxious to get his, and he'll definitely keep me in the loop to see how that works out for him. I'm really kind of excited to see how that works, because they've kind of tweaked some things on it. So I'm real excited about that. Ray, you have any closing thoughts for tonight?
Just, Bill, it's an exciting time. I look forward to new drones coming out, even if they're not DJI drones. I look forward to it. And it's interesting because, there's so many good pilots that I learned from, you being one of them, really. I watch you, I watch Marcus, I watch Ron and DeMarco, and, I could go on and on about the other drone experts, but I'm still learning, and I got to say thank you to you and all these other guys that share information, really.
Right. Thank you so much. But, it's like one of the things, I'm not in this for the money, even though my channel's monetized. It's enough. It puts the roof. It puts the lights on here, and it keeps the power on my laptop going. And that's about it. But the thing the enjoyment that I get is hearing this from you and seeing that in the comments, that I've been able to help people. And, that's been my goal since day one. I'm approaching my 6th anniversary with this channel here. Mm-hmm. And getting as many subscribers as I got has been unbelievable. I feel honored. I feel blessed. And, I feel a responsibility to the community as well, to put out good content, not just to put stuff out, just to put for content's sake, and to keep the algorithm going and everything. But I want to put relevant, meaningful information out there. That's why you don't see a lot from me personally. Yeah, do I fly recreationally? Sure. Do I post them on this channel? No, I don't. I just, there's a lot of times I go out there, I'll shoot footage, but it's just for my own sake, and I enjoy it. And I'm starting to do a little bit more of that now. I'm going to put a little bit more of that on the channel, but I like to keep it with the educational purpose in mind. For example, there's been a firmware update. Let's take a look and see what has happened during the firmware update. That kind of thing, new features that have been added to the drone. I'm always excited about that. But yeah, I'm going to be doing some more of those kind of things. But for the most part, I let a lot of you guys do the great cinematic shots. One of my favorite people with his, and you probably saw the show, Jeff Voigt, when I had him on. Jeff is just fantastic. Yeah. with his photographs and his videos, and if you guys haven't, if you're looking for a gift for somebody, go out to Jeff's channel. Oh my gosh.
Well, this is my favorite, Bill. I don't mean to cut you off talking about your friend, but Billy Kyle is the man. That's all I'll say. And he's a young man, and I look up to him, but he has this 9/11 lights on his channel, and I said I have to get it, and he sent me and he said print it, do it, and I put it on acrylic. I have it right here at the desk, right on my desk.
That's tremendous. Yeah. I agree.
But there's so many good pilots that
there are
cinematic, and they I mean, we could go on and on, talk another 2 hours about all.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've seen things that Ken has done, Ken Dono, and I've seen things Billy's done.
Eddie Nunez,
Oh yeah, just on and on and on. We could go on. There are so many good pilots out there, and so much great information. But I want to thank everybody for stopping by tonight. Really, especially want to thank Ray for stopping by and giving us a great recap of a great meetup. And circle the date next year. It's going to be a week later, April the 6th, 2024. And I'm sure as soon as information becomes available, Ray's going to get that out. Also, be on the lookout for Kelly with Ready Set Drone. He'll get that information out as soon as he gets things confirmed. For some, it's going to be later this year, November maybe. He's not sure, but when he gets that information out, we will all know. So
I'm just hoping it's not on November 4th. That's my wedding anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was interesting because we had a ham radio convention in Orlando, which is, it's not far from us, but that fell right on my wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Same thing, one of those things. So, but anyway, Ray, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank everybody in the audience tonight. And thanks to everybody who stopped at the South Florida Drone Meetup. Made it a great success. And kudos to Ray and the committee for all their hard work. And as always, guys, remember, it's a great day to fly. Take care, everybody.